Welcome to NICU Stories. Hey, my NICU followers. How are you? Welcome to NICU Stories. I am your host, Nakia Wilkinson, and today I have another special guest. I have another NICU dad. Woo! Not only is he a NICU dad, but he's also a pregnancy loss dad. So I am super excited for you all to hear his story, for him to share his story, because this is our first time having a dad share his side of pregnancy loss and a rainbow baby in the NICU. Welcome, Shawn Brown. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. I'm so excited to have you on my show today to be able to share your story and to be able to inspire some other people, some other dads out there who may have either gone through or currently going through what you've gone through, and hopefully you'll be an inspiration to them. So tell us all about your story.
Well, wow. Let's start at the beginning. So in 2002, I found myself as well as my wife pregnant. And I was excited because we were pregnant with twins. So twins didn't run in our family. So to say, wow, we're about to have twins, I was like real excited. So with the first going to the doctors and, hearing the heartbeats and just the overall joy of a dad. And this was my first pregnancy. So as I was sharing with my wife and we're going to the doctors, everything, we ended up getting married as well. So it was a double joy across the board. So I was working hard. It was December 23rd. I was working hard. And at the place where I was working at a hotel buffet up in Wabbager Falls, New York. And I came home that night and the missus was like, okay, I'm not feeling well. And take me to the emergency room. I was like, well, what's going on? She said, well, I'm just not feeling well. So we went to the emergency room that night. And with that, the doctor admitted her in and still wasn't unsure what was going on. Because like I said, this was my first time and I was like kind of baffled. Like, okay, what's going on? I thought everything was good. The doctors I think they did the cerclage where they was helping her with her cervix to stay to hold the babies. Mm-hmm. So if I miss something, you help me out because I'm just
okay.
you know what I'm saying. The medical terms I'm still trying to, but nevertheless.
But you got it though.
Yeah. The doctor was like, well, we're gonna have to deliver the babies. I was like, well, deliver the babies. The babies was only 19 weeks. Oh, wow. And I was like, wow, 19 weeks. And remember, it was 2002. Medical science is going, it's far advanced now, but it wasn't enough. Right. And had it was the 20th week, it would be something totally different I'll be talking about. But the doctor came in and me and my wife talk about it now because she was very professional. The bedside manners was on point. And Christmas Day, she delivered. Oh, wow. And she delivered. And it was like, for me, it was like, wow. I was torn. I was like, I got to be strong for the missus. But for me, it was like, wow, my twins are gone. My first set. Here I am trying to do the right thing, do the thing as far as getting married, have children in wedlock instead of out of wedlock. And I was like, wow, I lost them. But to see them born and then whisk away, I was like, wow. My family was around. My wife at the time, I think she was dealing with what she was dealing with. And they kept on, the morphine drops. And I remember because my brother came and said, wow, he said, you look good over there. I don't know what you got, but I want some of that.
Now, were they stillborn? Did they pass?
No, they did. The lungs wasn't developed. So I guess it was stillborn because I remember the hat and they wrapped them and they kind of just whisked them out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was like, wow, where are they going? Where, I mean, where my son's going? What y'all gonna do with them? Like, we didn't even. It wasn't like we didn't have an option to say, well, could we bury them or could we? I didn't know. They just, it
Yeah.
was gone.
Or can you hold
So
them or
yeah,
something?
you could, it was. I did go over it and I got a little quick peek, but I was like, wow. And it was like, it took a part of me, and I was very silent. This is the third time I've ever even talked about this, because as Black men, we are raised to be strong. Don't show the emotion, especially in the era that I grew up in. We didn't show the emotions too much, so it was. I gotta be honest with you, it was something different, and I didn't know how to put it in words then. But if I had to say it now, I was heartbroken, and I was like, wow, was there something I could have did different? And I started blaming myself on some things. Did we do enough prenatal care? Did we do enough? Was I very supportive?
Wow, you thought about those things. That's
Yeah. Listen, listen.
yeah.
You don't know. You don't know what factor that you might have played in this.
Right.
So you're trying to ask yourself, step by step, what did I do?
Right.
What went wrong with me? And then you deal with that. And then you deal with being married, and you're dealing with you know the children that she had, and just trying to develop a whole family. So it was kind of, I was in a gray area. I was in a very area of grayness where I was uncertain about things, because here I am. I went from being single to now being part of a already made family, but I'm now have to come in and now be a provider, a leader, a supporter, and now I just lost the very thing, one of the connections that was bringing us together. So it was a lot. So we started moving through. Definitely rough times. So from 2002 until 2004, it was just uncertainties, and little things might flare up, but we never really sat down and talked about it.
Wow.
So why I say 2004? That's when she got pregnant again,
Uh-huh.
and this pregnancy, I was a little shell shocked. If I was like a little shook. I didn't know which way to go with this. I was like, oh, here we go
Understand.
again. Should I? What's going on now? What's really going on? And October 1st, her water broke, which was what, actually 4 months before the actual due date. So we went through the cerclage, we went through all that. Now the water broke October 1st, Friday night, 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm saying to myself, spiritually, I was in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember speaking to one of the deacons who was over my house fixing the computer. I said, my spirit is different now. I think it's going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't rush. I took a shower, anointed myself. I had some anointing oil, anointed myself, and I went to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
That night, they moved my wife from Stanford to New York Presbyterian.
Mm-hmm.
And that night, the doctors had said that if he comes, because they already knew it was a boy, if he comes, he's going to be deaf. It's possibly he's going to be deaf, blind, and there was a lot of different things. And I was like, really? But in the back of my mind, I was like, this is going to be different. This is going to be different. I prayed that Friday because on Sunday was the new week.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to make it through the weekend to Sunday. And that was going to be the 12th. No, excuse me, that's going to be the 20th week. And that's when his lungs was going to start being able to be developed.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to give him some steroids.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my weekend. It was like, if we could make it through the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
if we could make it through the weekend, we're going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
So we made it through the weekend. And I was like, okay, praise God. I said, see, God, you showing yourself being faithful. And this is different this time. It's going to be different this time. I don't know what. It's going to be different this time. And she stayed in New York Presbyterian for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now the water, and remember I said the water broke. So for everybody who's not in the medical field, you think, well, the water broke. How is he going to? Well, she had to drink a lot of water.
Right.
To rebuild the water in her system so that he can drink, and then he actually urinates.
Mm-hmm.
So the water is actually his urination.
Right.
When you go to the bathroom. And I didn't
Back.
realize that. So he living on, he living on.
Right.
So his unique day, his day of birth was unique for me. I was working I work at another place, and a lady had passed in the restaurant. So I seen death go out the door. Later on that night, I was exhausted, and my wife called me and said, listen, they're going to deliver him. I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I've been in labor. I'm going to deliver him. I was like, I just got off work. Now, if anybody knows the New England, I live in Stanford, and I had to get to New York.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time in my life, and I've been driving since 16, first time in my life, I left Stanford and got to New York Presbyterian and found the parking space in less than 30 minutes.
Wow.
I went through the Cross Bronx. Yeah, listen, let me tell you something. I went through the Cross Bronx Expressway, got off the last exit before going on the George Washington Bridge, came down, found a parking space on in Spanish Harlem, which is that little area there, and his room was right across the street from the Autobahn, where Malcolm X got killed. And I parked, I ran upstairs, and she was surprised. She's like, "Oh, you here already?" I said, "Yeah." I had the scrubs on that came in there, and I was ready. And she was stressed out, like she was on a cross, and the guy couldn't find a a vein. I said, "My man, listen, you got to find a vein. Don't hit her again. Don't try to prick her again. You got to find a vein." And he found the vein. She got the anesthesia, and then at 2:13, my son was born.
Oh.
So I remember the smells and everything that went on because I got a brand, and I remember the flesh burning because they had to cut her. Ooh. And I remember smelling it, but I remember him coming 2:13. Wow. And see, the story goes on. Though 2:13 comes, and when I look at him for the first time, he looked deflated, meaning that then like when you pump up something, you inflate it, you'll see the air come in.
Right.
So he was deflated to me, but when I seen him later on that afternoon, he was like a little butterball, pumped up, and I became very protective of him because my wife often tells me the story when my sister comes to visit the next day, that I was like, "Yo, listen, watch it, don't touch him, I'm like very protective." She's like, she ain't gonna hurt him. I was like, listen, and that's been my thing with my namesake, Shawn Michael. Very protective, but remember, he's in New York, and a week later he gets to come to Stanford, where we live at. So now every night after work, I go down to feed him, or I go down to take, just to watch over him. Which I'm thinking, I'm watching over him, but no, God is really watching over him. He's doing a better job than I can ever do.
Yeah, that's far.
Yeah.
I mean, you got there in 30 minutes, which
he's doing the best.
Miraculous, but
30 minutes. Listen. I couldn't believe I said, like, what? Like, listen, I said, I ain't never get down here. Now I don't want to go clubbing and go down a different. I could never get down to New York that quick, but that particular night I got down there, seen the birth of my son, which they say a preemie. Now to look at him today, and look at him as academically, one, I praise him with his academics, but two, the healthiness of his whole mind, body, and to see him, you'd be like, he was no preemie. I said, yeah, he was a preemie.
What did the doctor say about him?
It was
when he was born?
Well, my wife, Well, again, they was amazed. To be honest with you, they were amazed because after the water broke, my wife used to say there was a host of doctors
Mm-hmm.
in amazement, like, wow, okay, water broke. There's no sign of distress. He's not stressing out. Nothing. We don't have to. Let's just continue to go. And they used to do that daily. So I remember I said the water broke on the 1st. He was born on the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
So they was doing this daily, like amazement, like, what's going on with this here? Excuse me. Like in the medical field, they like, I mean, the water broke. He's not distressed. Everything's good. Let's just keep riding it out. And to me, he was a miracle. He was a miracle. And not only did I go on to have him, the next son, which was 16 months later, they were like twins at one time because it was like, I said, see, don't know reason why I lost the first two or we lost the first two, but God blessed me to have two more
Mm-hmm.
almost identical twins. And for that alone, I give him praise because it's like, I didn't know how I was going to get through this, but I was like, wow, I lost it two, but I can't worry about that because now I got two in front of me. And let me do the best to provide and give them a clean canvas so they can write whatever, paint whatever life they want to the
Right.
best of their ability.
So I want you
So,
to talk about because I want to build something here. I want you to talk about what the doctor said he was going to be and what he was going to have and what his medical condition was going to be
oh,
and talk about how he is today, how he just
okay,
defined.
okay. Well, okay, again, that Friday night when we got in there, the doctor said because the water broke, they said he's going to be deaf. Um, he's going to be blind, and he will have some learning deficiencies because, as far as they knew, him being a premature child, water breaking, and just just unsure about how things were going to be. The doctors then said, "Wow, they used to come to visit her every day and just talk about there was an amazement, like, wow, no stress. He's not distressed. He's not in stress, meaning as the water's not there, he's not stressed out. He's he's doing well. She's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
The water is now coming, the water is now being regenerated because
Mm-hmm.
he's drinking, and so things were getting better. But one of the things I used to always say, y'all saying one thing, but my belief has me thinking something totally different. So the deafness, he's always had a good, keen hearing.
Mm-hmm.
His eye vision was always good. He went on to play football. He does very good with that. But one of the things I praise God, his ability to uh, function in class at the level that he's doing it.
Wow.
He was one of the children, and you got to understand something. As a dad, I'm pushing. He started school, and my wife and the teacher said, "Well, why don't we just keep him back because most boys develop a little slower." I was like, "Man, nah, I don't want to hear that." So he went from kindergarten to first grade, and they said it again. And I said, "You know what? I'm gonna pull it back." He repeated first grade, but in the repeating of first grade, he built a confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So now he was going back to the kindergarten to read to the kids. And before he left elementary, he was part of the principal's uh, council,
Nice.
where he was one of those children that was singled out for his academics as well as his athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so when you looked at it, I said, wow. But it was always that the academics are always pushed, but he was getting it and loved it
Mm-hmm.
and embraced it.
Right.
Embraced it.
Right.
That was the big thing. So he embraced it.
So
So
they said that he was going to be deaf, dumb, and blind. He ended up being not only just a superstar scholar, but he's also a superstar athlete. And
oh
people are
yeah.
shouting him out everywhere, right?
Right now, yeah, because he's looking for because he went to one of the premier Catholic schools up here. He wanted to go there and play football. And
Mm-hmm.
academically, again, he did very well. There's another opportunity that he's looking at right now in one of the schools in this area in Greenwich. But like I tell my son, listen, you can do whatever you want to do. You could do it in this school, in the public school, or in the private school. But the sky's the limit. You don't even know what you got in you yet.
Right. And he's tall, he's healthy, he's growing. How old is he now?
He's actually he's 16. He's maybe about 6 feet because he's trying to look me in the face now. So so he's about 6 feet. I'm 6'4", so he's about 6 feet. Healthy, and like I said, very, very, very well spoken. And when I look at the things he's done in the community, it's been a plus as well. So
Amazing. So I want to talk
yeah.
about when you said you and your wife didn't talk about the loss. What are some reasons do you think that you guys never talked about it for so long?
Well, I could tell you for me, I didn't know how to approach it because I felt like it was her body. And I didn't know what to say and not to say. First of all, young, especially being married, young, I would have probably said something crazy like, "Did you clean yourself right? Did you do this?" And not knowing it ain't nothing about the outside. It was just something that had happened.
Right.
And I didn't know enough about the medical terms or terminology that the doctor was talking about. So you know what I'm saying? So it was like, for me, it was like, let me just, we don't have the loss. Let's push back.
Now, with the wisdom that you have today, how would you have
Mm-hmm.
approached it if you would have dealt with that now with this wisdom? Not at your age that you're going to
Well,
go through that, but with the wisdom that you
yeah.
have now, how would you have handled it?
Wow. Now, first of all, I would have been, I would approach it simple as this. First of all, we would have had to spend some time away from everybody and just create a climate where we can talk. And I will want to talk about the experience because she had 2 children prior to this, and to have lost the children like this, I just, I would have been a little bit more empathetic. I took some time talking. I would have said, okay, let's get away. Let's go take a trip. And then try to build on the emotional side.
Right.
I think for me, not knowing, I guess not saying that was the best thing at the time
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know, because I still was full of emotions because being a little younger, I know me, I would have said something just crazy,
Right.
and it would have just blew the situation up more.
Something very immature and unknown,
Yeah,
and just operating more out of emotions rather than wisdom.
there you go. And that's the key thing I'm learning now. As a man, a father, sometimes you got to know when to just let some things kind of the dust to settle before you approach it.
Right.
And when you approach it, make sure you approach it with love. So any young guys that might be going through something like this, I would say, listen, okay, find a place where you can find a place where you can talk to other men
Right. That's
about this experience. Then couple that, and then go home and try to approach it from I'm here for you. I want to make sure I'm here for you because see, a lot of men don't have a place where we feel comfortable
right.
talking about it. Women have all kind of little girl nights, this, that, and the other. Y'all know how to get it together. Us as men, because of the environment, we don't know how to say, listen, let's have a men's night where we can sit down and become vulnerable. Let's deal with the emotional side of things.
Right. Right.
I've and not feel like you're going to be disrespected.
Right.
And yeah, so for me, I would definitely sure, and it doesn't always have to. It just need to be a safe place.
Right. And how long? So I want to go back to little Sean's NICU experience, if you don't mind me calling him little Sean.
There you go.
I just want to go back to the NICU experience. How long was he in the NICU for?
Wow, I'm glad you see. I kind of buzzed through that. He was in there from seriously. I buzzed through that. He was there from October 25th to December 23rd.
Mm.
Now that experience, and I often got on my wife about, I was like, you never go see him. You don't do this. You don't do that. You don't, not realizing the emotional. And that's why I said the immaturity of
Yeah.
me was like, you ain't doing, you got time. She couldn't deal with, she didn't know how to process that.
Especially
Because
having
again,
a loss and then now your child, it's traumatic for women. Um,
yeah.
I can understand why she probably just didn't go as often or didn't go at all. Because, and the thing is, a lot of times, what I don't like in certain hospital settings, they kind
Mhm.
of mommy shame moms who don't come all the time, but not one person, not often. Do you see where they take the time and say, "Mom, are you okay?" Or "Mom, how are you feeling?" Because it's not normal for a mom to not be there for her child, especially in a child in such a sensitive and um, very traumatic situation.
Mhm.
You would think the first thing they would do is say, let's send a counselor in to check on mom to make sure that she's processing this process correctly and make sure she's okay, because it's not normal for a mom to not be there for her child. So obviously something's not right. So let's check on her. And they don't do that. I had to experience that with my daughter, and the doctor said to me, "Oh, had you been here every single day, she probably would have gone home earlier." And I was like, I did the best that I could. My daughter was 45 minutes away from me. I had a cesarean. Like, I just thought I did the best that I could trying to manage life, being a new mom. And talking about it now, it's like, well, did anybody think to send a therapist? Anybody think to send a counselor to, like, let's just talk to mom and see if she's okay? Why isn't she here all the time? But they don't think to do that. And I think that's the worst thing you could ever do to a mom dealing with such a traumatic situation like that, is to mommy shame her. So I'm glad that you were mindful of what you said, because at the end of the day, because you guys hadn't talked about it, you didn't know what she was going through or how she was feeling.
No, no, I didn't. And not to cut you off, but that was part of the process again of maturing from the twins to now he's here.
Right.
Actually, it's so funny that we're talking about it as I see him coming in the house right now, but he's here. So him being here, my thing was, oh, he's not in New York. He's up the street from us. Why don't you go see him? Well, I had to deal with the fact that she was so used to taking the children home every time she couldn't take them home.
Yeah, that's so
So
much.
now you telling me I can't take my child home?
Right.
So now, hindsight now, I'm now saying, wow, she really messed up over this, because when she was able to do certain things, now she can't do it.
And that's a
So
good point that you make, because she has two prior children. So that's
yeah, so,
your psyche too. I can't take my baby home and I'm used to it.
like who are you? Now like who are you? But in the process, that's where my strength came. I gotta go see my son. Gotta
Yeah.
make sure my son is well. And I realized I built a relationship with one of the nurses that when I later on in life, I bumped into her at a facility that I was working at. I was like, wow, you were the lady that was taking, she said, yeah, I was there every night. I was like, wow, I do remember you, because I used to be there every night just to make sure the little guy was all right. As I seen his development and everything, it got to the point where they was like, okay, he's about ready to come home. We had started doing the feeding. We
Mhm.
started to make sure that he felt the heartbeat. We started interacting more. And my grandmother, she was coming to visit. My mother was coming to visit, and then we took the weight or the pressure off of my wife, and we
Mhm.
fulfilled it. So during the day, my mother be there. During the night, I'll come.
Mhm.
So
Oh, that's
I,
amazing.
yeah, it is amazing. But so here's where my life changed, where I had a good sleeping pattern. I
Mhm.
thought things were great. Even though I want to see my son, I didn't realize December 23rd, 2004, my life changed.
Mm.
He came home.
Yeah, that's the
He
difference.
came, he came home. He's at the foot of the bed in the bassinet, and he started crying 12 o'clock at night. So I looked at my wife. I was like, no, you gotta go feed him. She said, no. She said, no. That's your son. Go feed him. And it's like, ding, I'm a dad. So all what was about me, I had to go away, and I got to start the feeding process.
Mhm.
I got changing process. I got to emotionally be there for his baths and talk to him, and now I got another son, so I got two of us, double duty. So where I thought I lost, I just gained.
Yes, it.
So the process was I had to go through the process of the loss to appreciate the gain.
Ah, I love that. Oh, that's
You
good.
know, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm like, I'm feeding him. So I come home at night, 12, and I'm feeding him. Boom. You know, I'm not even warming the milk up. He just like, give it to me, Dad. I'm burp and go to bed.
That's amazing.
So when I think about that, so like again, so when I think about the first to where I'm at now, it's like, wow, I had to go through a process. And part of it is a humbling process that we don't realize that we go through.
Good. That's the truth. I would say it was definitely a humbling process and it's a trying of your patience like no other.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I don't think I would change anything, because if anything I would change now that I know what I know, I would have personally approached things a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
For but then again, I had to go through that like I did so I can appreciate where I'm at today. So
And if you would talk to anyone else that's in a situation now, how would you tell them to approach it differently? Like, can you elaborate on that?
okay. I will first uh tell them, whoever going through it is, first of all, I will probably pray with them. We'll sit down and pray with them. And then from the prayer, I would say, listen, get somewhere and get your emotions together and know where you at.
Mm.
Meaning that you if this is a new experience, you just have to get yourself in a place where you understand where you're at. And now, after you find out where you at, now go in to for your partner,
Right.
and be supportive of your partner, realizing there's going to be some highs, there's going to be some lows, there's going to be some good days, there's going to be some days you're like, ooh, that was a challenging one. But you got to then find, after you get with your partner, a safe haven where you can express yourself.
Right.
We often, I heard a preacher say this, we often medicate ourselves. We'll take aspirins here, aspirins there, and we medicate ourselves. Meaning the aspirin is at another female,
Mm.
or it could be another male.
Mm-hmm.
We think that medicating ourselves with another person or partner is going to help us deal with the situation that we are in.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't. It actually worsens the situation. It actually makes the situation worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I would tell somebody, especially if you know yourself and,
Right.
and you've always medicated yourself with other things or people,
Right.
know where you at so that you medicate yourself properly, because she needs you just as much as you need her. But you're going to have to be a little bit more stronger from a male point of view to digest what is going on.
And to cover her.
And to continue to cover. And that's part of it. Because the first thing we do when we're dealing with pain, we run out and we go somewhere and we do something different to try to comfort ourselves. But we realize, well, in this situation here, I could just say to a young man, listen, find a safe haven.
Right.
Find a place of safety.
Right.
So you can go through this process, and you can go through it as healthy as possible and come out with as less casualties as possible.
Mm.
Because we go in fighting because we're fighting our emotions, we're fighting what we feel, we're fighting the unknown, only to realize it's a process and it's going to take some time.
Right. That's so good. The fact that you mentioned the fact, because most men don't talk about their emotions. I don't know if society make men feel like they're weak or makes them feel vulnerable. And men don't like to feel vulnerable when they talk about, especially when they're talking about their emotions. So I'm glad that you mentioned that roller coaster and just that tug and that pull. Did you feel like how you were feeling in regards to this situation, in regards to the loss of your boy, your twins, and then dealing with the NICU? Did you feel like how you felt was valued or paid attention to by anybody? Like, did anyone ask, Shawn, how you doing?
I'm gonna be as blunt but respectful, because we are definitely sure on what we on. Nobody cared about me. I felt like nobody cared about me. No, it almost felt like, and I get it. She was carrying something. She was carrying life, and it got aborted. She was carrying life, and it came a little earlier.
Mm-hmm.
She was carrying life, and the way that things used to be, or that she was comfortable with, changed. So the center was there. I don't think at that time anybody even came and said, "Yo, what's up, man? You all right, man?" I don't think if anybody remotely, I'm trying to think during that season of my life who was around. I don't think nobody remotely. I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think if anything, because you know what, I was just starting in a different circle. Oh, excuse me, I was starting in a different circle. I'm sorry for that,
Yeah.
but I don't think realistically. I don't think because again, we dealing with emotions. Men
Yeah.
don't. We ain't gonna. Yo, you doing all right, man? And you be like, yo, get up out of here with all that. And I wasn't vulnerable like I am today. Like today, I will call my nephew up. I'll be like, Jay, what's going on? How you doing, man? I will call another friend up, Mike. What's up? And we'll talk because we can identify with the emotional side
Right.
of having children.
Right.
I will call my cousin up because he experienced the same thing I experienced.
Mm-hmm.
The loss and being quiet about the loss
Right.
and
Right.
talking about the loss. I just found out the loss that he had maybe 3 months ago.
Oh, wow.
And he said, listen, I only could talk to you because I know you knew how I felt.
Wow.
So when he did say it to me, I was like, wow, okay. Whew, okay.
And then now you realize I had to go through it. It was probably the worst experience of your whole life. But then when you get through it, you learn, you experience some things, you grow in wisdom. And then it's like God always sends you these people who experience the same exact thing that you went through. And it was like, why did I have to go through this? Why did this happen to me? But it was like, had you not gone through it, would you been a listening ear and a voice for this young person who's going through it now? So I'm grateful for you experience it, learning what you learned, taking the wisdom and being able to help somebody else because at the end of the day, it's about community, it's about unity, and it's about
Yeah.
being able to help each other get through. And I'm so glad that God showed you that with your cousin coming by and saying he went through it too and you being available to help
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. I mean, I think about the prematureness and my nephew coming to me, and I remember him. I just prayed with him right quick. I said, "You're gonna be all right." Something about my spirit man when he was going through his first child and being, I think it was the second child, and having her being premature. I was like, "We're gonna be all right. We don't be listen, listen." With the medical science that has advanced from when Shawn, my
Right.
son, in 2004, and now I think it was maybe 2012 somewhere. No, maybe a little, maybe 2010. I'm bad with numbers. Anyway, when it was for his time,
Hmm.
I was like, "Yo, you gonna be all right, man. Come on, man. It's too many of us around praying for you. That wife of yours, she's a prayer warrior. We ain't worrying about that. We're gonna move right through. Y'all gonna be all right. We just gotta go through the process."
So I want to go ahead and since you
Okay.
mentioned it,
Okay.
I want to just go ahead and show the importance of a village and community because the listeners don't know that this is actually Shawn is actually my husband's uncle and his wife is actually my husband's, blood aunt. And just hearing his reaction to our story and how, we started with NICU stories and why we were here with NICU stories, it's like now we're hearing a different take on the village and their response and their perspective of what their family members are going through. So some people don't have that village. Some people don't have, friends or family who experienced it before that they did. But we had a cloud of witnesses who went through it and were able to support us. So I thank you for your support, especially to my husband because he wasn't very vocal during that time. So I'm so glad that you were a support system for him, which I didn't even think about the fact that, yeah, you did help my husband as well. So you had to go through it to be able to help him get through it.
There you go. I mean, Listen, and that's it. That was it. I had to endure, and part of the endurance. Now, when I look at it, like, man, you're gonna be all right, because see, I know you're a prayer warrior. I know the missus a prayer warrior, and here's the thing: we just got to go through this process again.
And here we go.
But initially going through it, oh yeah, you get the bumps. I can't sit here today and say I didn't have days where I was unsure about certain things. I can't sit here and say, oh, it was peachy. Hell no. That was a process. And then in any process, at the end, there's the victory that you can sit back and share with somebody else.
Right, right, right. I
Yeah.
love just the dynamics of your story,
Yeah.
because not only are you like first in, like you like first response to like this experience, like you experiencing it firsthand, you experience like the very traumatic experience of a loss, and then the traumatic experience of a NICU. Because even though you're grateful that your son is alive, but the NICU is still very hard to experience, because the very key thing that you said, you don't get to bring your baby home. And that initial shock is like it seemed like a snowball effect of like the NICU experience, right? It's like the initial blow of the NICU experience that you cannot bring your child home right away. And then you bring up the fact that you're able to help others, and you are able to also be that village for someone else in your family. So
Mhm.
I just love your story, because you bring so many different multifacets of the NICU experience that a lot of people either don't know or don't realize the importance of it. And then also it can enlighten people to be more supportive to family members or friends that you may know who are in the NICU, because it takes a village to get through that experience. It's not just like, oh, their child's in the hospital. Like, no, they really need a support system. They really need a village. They really need, even if you didn't experience it yourself, just to be there and be like, hey, are you okay? It speaks volumes, and it's like a world changing sentence, or just an even thought, to just ask somebody, are you okay, or how are you doing? Like,
There
would you
you go.
think if somebody would have asked you that, it would have like shifted some things for you, or probably helped you along, if somebody would have said, hey Shawn, how you doing today?
Yeah. Well, initially it would have been like, okay, how I'm doing all right. What are you talking about? That's why. But when it comes, there's a certain voice that we all tap into.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Then they're really concerned about that situation versus, hey, how you doing? You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
Right.
like, how are you doing? I'm doing all right. I'm doing
And
all
so
right.
that's the whole point of the March for Dads. And I'm so
Okay.
excited that you're part of it, and that you decided to share your story with us for the month of March. Because men do not have that opportunity where people just ask them if they're okay. It's like they always focus on us moms, like, are she, she okay? Are you okay? Do you need help? What can we do for you? But dads are experiencing something just like we are, and dads are experiencing, the emotional blows of it. They're experiencing like a whirlwind of different thoughts. I spoke to one
Mhm.
dad, and one of the things he said was, I now had to split my love up. He was like, when my twins were born and going into the it was that was his first thought. He was just like, I had to split my love between my wife now and then two other people. So I got to split it two
Mhm.
ways. And I was like, that was a thought. Like, I was just impressed by it. And it's just like a lot of
Mhm.
times when you don't ask people what they're going through or how they're feeling, you don't even realize what people are processing and how they're trying to navigate through the simple things. And it's like, here it is, you have babies that are fighting for their life in the NICU. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to split my love up between my wife and my children. And it's like, but that's a very real thought. That's a very real emotion that he's probably stuck on that, and he can't think of nothing else. And it's like, but nobody's asking him, are you okay? Let me help you navigate through whatever you're feeling. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, because that's what I had to do. I had to try to balance it. And I always leaned it towards the children, because I said, okay, you're an adult. Okay, you're an adult. Like right now, it ain't about us being emotional. We have to take care of the children.
Right,
We have
right.
to include the children as much as possible on certain things. And like I said, she has done a fabulous job. She had a village to help her niece, her sisters. They did things that I didn't have to worry about getting done,
Hmm.
because that was some of the things they enjoy doing.
Right, right.
So that part is cool, but it was like I couldn't get I can't get too emotional about this. Like, I know you might need a hug. I need a hug too, but do
Yeah.
we do we sacrifice the hugs that we need to give them little guys, the nurturing that we need to give those? Let's put that on the back burner. We've been here for we've been here for 30, 40 years. We all right. You ain't gonna miss that hug today. We'll work through it. Work through that one.
We'll work through it. But it's
We'll work
real.
through
It's like these are the things that you guys are thinking about and processing.
it.
And I just love that, you and a few of the other dads are willing to share this side of the
Yeah.
NICU experience, because not too many people want to share the emotional, especially men. They just don't want to be vulnerable. They want to share, their thoughts and feelings, especially when it comes to their children and their spouses and their home life. Like that's a very soft spot. So to talk
Yeah.
about it, I just say kudos to you and virtual flowers to you. I'm giving you your
Thank you.
flowers today while you can smell them. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. I want to
Thank
say, everybody go follow Shawn Brown on Instagram. What is your Instagram handle? Because he's always putting out some amazing inspiration. And he is an incredible chef, even though he's not a professional chef, but he did go to school for it, but it's not what he's doing for a living. But he just puts amazing, delicious meals out. So put your
Yeah.
social media out so people can follow you.
Okay, I am at Lakeith, which is my middle name, Lekeith, and it's at 1768. And it's my name, Shawn Brown, SHAWN. I think I got the one with just Shawn Brown, but the handle is Lekeith 1768.
On
So
Instagram?
yeah, on Instagram. But then I just got Shawn Brown on Facebook as well. I'm starting to put food on Facebook, and I had somebody hit me like at 2:00 in the morning, having to be up, and she's like, "You cook like that every Saturday?" I said, "No, every Sunday, because that's my therapy."
Yeah.
Part of what I'm dealing with now is cooking is my therapy.
I love
So
it.
I got to get back in there now. And I got to do my beer batter fish. I did some other stuff already, so I got to finish all cooking.
I love it. I love it. And I'm glad you mentioned that that's your therapy, because people have to find other ways to cope that's not detrimental to their life, their health, and their marriage. And
There you go.
cooking is definitely a great way. We have a mom who actually she had experienced a loss. It's interesting because she experienced a loss, and then she also experienced the NICU right after. And how she found therapy was through cooking. So she launched her brand, A Taste of Healing. I think that's pretty amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because mine was Blessed Cafe.
Yes, Blessed
Yeah,
Cafe.
that was Blessed Cafe. Yes.
We were
So I don't know.
definitely
One of my frat brothers just hit me up. Shout out to the Qs.
blessed.
One of my
Oh yeah.
yeah. He just hit me today. He said, bro, do you think about getting, a truck? And I was like, see, I don't want to be held down no more. I want to have the freedom to flow. And when I flow, I cook better.
I love it. I love it. So
So
once again, I thank you so much, Shawn, for
thank you.
your story. I appreciate you, and we value here. And I want you all to stay tuned, because we have something amazing happening at the end of March. We're going to have a panel of NICU dads, NICU PICU dads, and they're going to continue this. We'll close out the discussion for the March for Dads in the month of March. And I thank you so much once again for coming and sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, my NICU Story listeners, for tuning in. Stay tuned for the rest of March for Dads.